live on YouTube. Serves me right. I got to take off this. Yeah, just for now. So I'm not so high. All right. So the Bears are pounding the Panthers. There's about 7.5 minutes left in the third there. Let's go back to some other scores. We can update some of those notable fantasy players. If you have any fantasy questions, let me know. I know that it's kind of like, why bother, because the games are going on. But if you have any, maybe you still have people for the 4 o'clock games, or in my area, they would be the 3 o'clock games, or maybe you have stuff for Monday night or Sunday night even. All right, let's look at Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. I don't know. Joe Burrow's having a game of the year so far. He has 226 yards, 3 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson has 113 yards and 1 touchdown. Derrick Henry has a touchdown on 27 yards rushing. I think he caught the ball too, right? Well, if he did, he didn't get much for it. All right. Chase Brown has 30 yards rushing, and Zach Moss has 12 yards rushing. But T. Higgins for Cincinnati has 55 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. Hey, Christina, she's on YouTube. All right, let me go through some of the folks on TikTok. Hello to Pipeline. Hello to Steven. Hello to Silas. Hello to Sparky, RG Singh, Devon, Devin, Cole Cams, Fenton Fred, Miguel Vasquez. I recognize that name. Bradley, Daniel, you Locero. No, you loser 6. All right. Tadit Barbie, Dan the Man 97, Keith Stein. Thank you all for joining. Don't forget to hit those likes. I'm just kind of going over scores and letting you know sort of where your fantasy folks land. Mike Gesicki for Cincinnati, the tight end, has 19 yards receiving, no touchdowns. Isaiah Likely for Baltimore has 6 yards receiving. Andrews has the tight end for Baltimore has no yards at all, no receptions. Jamar Chase has 84 yards receiving for Cincinnati and 1 touchdown. So not too bad. Again, for everybody out there, I go live I talk football Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, Thursday nights, and then either Friday or Saturday, or sometimes both. And that's mostly on TikTok, although because I have to do TikTok on my phone and I have StreamYard for YouTube, I've been trying to do it at the same time. So let's go back to some of these other games and see what some of the fantasy players are doing today. All right, let's look at this Colt and Jags. Who would have thought that the Jags would be up by 10? But from what I heard, it was sort of a must-win for the Jags. Otherwise, they may be having a fire sale. All right, for Indianapolis, Flacco has 149 yards passing, 1 touchdown. Trevor Lawrence having a pretty good day, 254 yards passing, 1 touchdown, but 1 interception. Tyler Goodson is leading right now in rushing. He has 4 carries for 24 yards for the Colts. Trey Sermon, sort of the backup for Jonathan Taylor, who I was afraid they they have running by committee today. He has 8 carries for only 20 yards. So not quite as good of a average as Tyler Goodson. For Jacksonville, Tank Bigsby has 25 yards rushing and 1 touchdown. And Travis Etienne has only 17 yards on 6 carries. Now let's look at receiving for Jacksonville. Brian Thomas Jr. having a great day, 122 yards, 1 touchdown. His long is 85. Travis Etienne has 42 yards receiving, no touchdowns. Let's move over to Indianapolis. Josh Downs leads receiving for Indianapolis with 60 yards, no touchdowns. Michael Pittman Jr. has 3 receptions for 8 yards and 1 touchdown. So he squeaked in with some points on that touchdown. Let's see. Sermon also has 20 yards receiving. So he has 20 yards rushing, 20 yards receiving. Hey, Daniel Berry, Sports Highlights. Glad to have you on board. We're just kind of going through where the scores are, what some of the fantasy folks look like. Christian Kirk, one of the bright spots, I think, with Jacksonville, only has one reception for 8 yards. Let's go back to some other games here. Anybody have any questions? I have a lot of joined on TikTok. Thank you for joining. Don't forget to follow. Don't forget to like. I know I'm kind of just running through the scores, but I'm trying to pull out. I don't know why that jumps around so much. It's probably because I have it so blown up. Let me see if I can do this. I just wanted to get a little bit more stable. All right. Let's look. We looked at the Bengals. Let's go through the scores real quick since we have a bunch of new people on. Any questions, let me know. If I'm not getting your attention, I know I'm going to say buy a rose. It's like a penny. All right. Texans still lead the Bills 20-10. Bengals over the Ravens 24-20. Patriots now lead 10-6. It looks like the Dolphins got another field goal. The Jags over the Colts 20-10. The Commanders doing a good job against the Browns. The Browns don't have much of an offense, 24-6. And the Bears are taking it to the Panthers. Panthers only have one touchdown. I think Chuba Hubbard did get that, thank God, because he's on a couple of my teams, and I think he's on my son's team. But that is 30-7, so the Bears just got a field goal. Let's look at the Commanders-Browns game, and the fantasy implications on that game. Deshaun Watson having a Deshaun Watson kind of day through the third quarter. Well, there's 9 minutes left still in the third quarter, but in the third quarter, I'm just trying to. Through the third quarter, he has 94 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Rushing, Deshaun Watson leads in rushing with 5 yards. Deonta Foreman has 4 carries for 4 yards, so not a great average. Jerome Ford, 2 rushes for 3 yards, not having a good day. Jaden Daniels, rushing for Washington, has 9 carries for 71 yards. Austin Eckler has 3 carries for 64 yards. He's averaging 21 yards a carry. His long was 50. Brian Robinson Jr. has 2 touchdowns, 7 carries, and 18 yards. Let's look at receiving now. Our one of the bright spots of Washington receiving core is obviously Terry McLaurin. He has 112 yards. His long was 66. So 112 yards receiving. De'Ami Brown has a touchdown and 56 yards receiving. For Cleveland, Amari Cooper leads with 60 yards receiving, no touchdowns. And then Judy has 16 yards, and Njoku, the tight end, has 14 yards. Zach Ertz for Washington has 10 yards receiving. All right, let's go back to the scoreboard there. So this really is, Washington is taking it to Cleveland right now. There's 8:09 left in the third. Cleveland doesn't have a touchdown. So I just don't think Deshaun Watson is the answer there. All right. This thing jumps around too much. All right. Let's look at the scores one last time. Let's look at the Patriots and the Dolphins. One of the surprises there is Ramondre Stevenson. I guess he got the wake-up call that he needed, or that his coach wanted to give him. Ramondre Stevenson has, let me go through the box score because it's easier to go through. Ramondre Stevenson has 76 yards rushing and 1 touchdown. So he's doing what he can. His long is 33 yards. Raheem Mostert with Miami leads all backs with 44 yards. Jalen Wright has 32 yards, and Achane has 18 yards rushing. Miami does not have a touchdown. New England has one. That was by Ramondre Stevenson. Now, if you've listened, you've probably heard me say things like Ramondre Stevenson might not be starting, yada, yada, yada. There's a lot of question marks. Well, today he's having a good day. 76 yards rushing, 1 touchdown, and he has 3 yards receiving on 4 receptions. So not so good at catching the ball. But let's look at the receivers. Demario Douglas for New England has 23 yards. Kayshawn Bayut has 13 yards. Jonnu Smith for Miami has 54 yards. Tyreek Hill has 48 yards. Jalen Waddle has 35 yards. Raheem Mostert has 18 yards. So Raheem has 44 yards rushing and 18 receiving, so not too bad. I mean, hopefully they'll move up. Any questions on TikTok? Any questions on YouTube? I can go through any other games. As probably everybody knows, Minnesota squeaked by the Jets today. The Jets, Breece Hall did not have a very good game. Aaron Rodgers threw 3 picks, one of them a pick 6. They lost, but they were coming back. That's horrible when that does that. Okay, I'll just do that. All right, so let's look at. We haven't looked at the Bills and Texans. Now, this could be the Bills' second loss in 2 weeks. Not a good sign for a team that, earlier in the season looked invincible. All right, let's start with Josh Allen in Buffalo. Let's just go through Buffalo. He has 131 yards passing and 1 touchdown. So not horrible, no interceptions, so that's good. But only 131 yards. There's 4 minutes and 20 seconds left in the third. So he doesn't look like he's going to put up some really bulky number there for Buffalo. Let's see. I'm just trying to make sure. Yeah. All right. In rushing, James Cook has 64 yards for Buffalo and 1 touchdown. And then it goes down to Josh Allen has 17 yards. Ty Johnson has 17 yards. Let's go into Buffalo receiving. Keon Coleman has 49 yards and a touchdown. Dalton Kincaid, the tight end, has 34 yards, no TDs. And Mac Hollins, 27 yards, no TDs. But James Cook, the running back, has an additional 17 yards receiving, no touchdown. Let's move on to Houston, now it's 20-17. So Buffalo just scored. All right. I'm trying to figure out who scored here. James Cook? I'll look real quick. Let me go to the game cast. So Buffalo's making it close. It's 20-17. T-Bass kick 70 yard. Okay. Cam Akers 15-yard rush. Nope, that's not it. Keon Coleman pass from Josh Allen. All right, so Josh Allen has a passing touchdown on the board. So Keon just scored. I don't know why I picked the team there. Let me go to the box score. Let's look at Houston so far. So it's a lot closer than it was just a minute ago. It's 2017. CJ Stroud has 257 yards. Good day so far with 4:20 left in the third and 1 touchdown. Cam Akers has 34 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. And then it just sort of drops off after that. Nico Collins, 1 touchdown and 78 yards. So he's putting together a day sort of like I thought. Very good for him. Stephon Diggs against his former team has 62 yards. And Tank Dell, who everybody talks about, has 38 yards and no touchdowns. And then Dari Aganbawali has 41 yards receiving for Houston, no touchdowns. His long was 28. The long for Nico Collins, he has 2 receptions with 67 yards. So of the 78, 67 came on 1 play. So we'll be watching that game a little bit tighter because it is 20-17, Houston taking it to the Buffalo Bills. Just by a little bit so far because Buffalo just scored. Let's look and see if any of the other games, any of the scores have changed. All right. As we just said, Texans squeaking by now, the Bills 20-17. The Ravens are making it closer with the Bengals. It is now 24-21. The Dolphins scored another field goal. They're down to the Patriots 10-9. Jags are still 10 better than the Colts at 20-10. The Commanders scored another touchdown. They're beating the Browns 31-6, and the Bears are still at 30-7 against the Panthers. Let's look at that Commanders-Browns game again. Thank you all for joining on TikTok. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to try to, what I do is I'm going to try to multi-stream more often, although it kind of stinks because TikTok, I can only use my phone and I use StreamYard for YouTube, but I'll be doing more of this. And so please subscribe, please like if you're on YouTube. On TikTok, don't forget to hit that like. I know that there's a few people online anyway. Don't forget to hit those likes. I live by the hearts that you throw my way. So thank you for that. And then let's look at this Washington game. Jaden Daniels has 204 yards, pretty good day, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Jaden Daniels has rushed for 77 yards. Brian Robinson Jr. has rushed for 18 yards and has 2 touchdowns. And Jeremy McNichols has 8 yards rushing and 1 touchdown. So 21 points essentially between Robinson and McNichols. The other touchdown is by Dyami Brown. He has 56 yards receiving, 1 touchdown, obviously. Terry McLaurin, their top receiver, has 112 yards, no touchdowns, and his long was 66. Now let's move over to the lowly Cleveland Browns. And I'm not trying to be mean, but man, they're lowly. I feel bad if you're a Cleveland fan. Deshaun Watson just is not the answer there. Deshaun Watson, with 5 minutes and 48 seconds left in the third, has just 95 yards passing. He has 1 interception, no touchdowns. And then Cleveland's rushing is led by Deonta. All right, I'm sure it's Deontay Foreman. He has 37 yards rushing. Receiving, Amari Cooper leads Cleveland with 60 yards, no touchdowns, and then Judy has 16, and the tight end Njoku has 14. So Cleveland at this point, not much of a fight in their game, if you will. I mean, they're down by a whopping 25 points, so that's at least 3+ scores, really, if you figure, even if they get to 2 points, that only gives them 24 in 3 scores, and they're down by 25. So they need another score. They're 4 scores away at least. All right, let's see if any of the other games have changed scores, got closer. We can take a closer look. Let's look at the Dolphins and Patriots. Now, the Patriots have no touchdowns today, but they've kicked 3 field goals. Miami's Tyler Huntley has 165 yards passing and 1 interception. And Jacoby Brissett has 61 yards passing, no TDs, no interceptions for New England. So not putting up numbers that you're going to make your fan base too comfortable with. Miami's rushing is led by Jalen Wright, who has 49 yards on 7 carries, no TDs. Raheem Mostert, 12 carries, 46 yards. And then it drops off. Ramondre Stevenson for New England has 76 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Now, all week I'd been talking about how I wasn't, I'd been reading things about Ramondre, and he fumbled and he may not get the start and he may not play a lot. Well, of the 15 carries, he has 10 of them. So he's taking the bulk of the carries. He has the touchdown, which is essentially the difference right now, by 1 point, and he has 76 yards. So he's putting together a decent day. Receiving-wise, New England really drops off the table. Demario Douglas has 23 yards. Keyshawn Bout, I guess, has 13. For Miami, Jonnu Smith has 54 yards, Tyreek Hill 48, Jalen Waddle 46, Raheem Mostert 18. So a little bit more balanced on their receiving than New England, but New England is pounding the ball from a running standpoint, which is, can oftentimes be the case. All right. Let's look back at the scores, see if anything's changed. Bears scores the same. Let's look at the Ravens and Bengals real quick. Go through some of the fantasy players there. Joe Burrow having a really good day. We knew it was a matter of time. His slow starts and all. He has 279 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Lamar Jackson, 184 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. So still not a bad day for him. Derrick Henry not putting up the big running number, but he has 30 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. So a decent day. And Lamar Jackson has 15 yards rushing. For Cincinnati, Chase Brown has 34 yards rushing. Zach Moss, 21. Neither have a touchdown. All right, Cincinnati receiving. Jamar Chase is having a really good day. 104 yards, 1 touchdown. If he scores another touchdown, that's a difference maker. This game's close, though. It's the start of the 4th quarter. The Bengals lead 24-21, and they have the ball. Now, T. Higgins has 2 touchdowns on 63 yards receiving for Cincinnati. And, here we go. Andre Iosivas, that's it. Andre Iosivas has 39 yards, no touchdown. And it looks like Cincinnati just scored. Holy cow. Let's see if we got the game cast here. Burrow pass, short left to Chase Brown for 4 yards. Touchdown. So Chase Brown caught touchdown. So if you have Chase Brown today, you just got a charge of points, although it's not. Oh, there we go. Oh, it was receiving. My bad. So Chase Brown has 3 receptions, 8 yards, but he has 1 touchdown, and he also has 34 yards rushing. So Cincinnati just pulled away by 7 more points, leads by 10, 31-21, 14-19 left in the 4th. So that should be a really good game. Any questions from the YouTube? Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that follow button if you're watching on TikTok. I know there's not a ton of people watching right now on TikTok, but I get that. And then because I go live on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Friday or Saturdays, and I try to go live on Sundays, I mostly talk fantasy football, but while the games are on, what I try to do is just give you an update of, possibly some of the people on your team, some of the people you're playing against, what they're up to, what they're, whether they're having a good day, a bad day, an in-between day. If you're on YouTube, please hit that like button. We're going through some scores here. Things are getting tight across the board. The Colts just scored again. So Flacco's doing something. Commanders still blowing away. The Browns, the Bears have kept their 20-point lead over the Panthers. Patriots, Dolphins, 10-9. Bengals just scored a touchdown, 31-21. Let's look at that Jags-Colts game as that gets closer and want to see what Flacco's doing. Looks like Flacco's having a pretty decent day. Flacco has 194 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Trevor Lawrence having a good day, 332 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Kind of the day that people said he needed. Tank Bigsby for Jacksonville has 32 yards rushing and 1 touchdown. And Travis Etienne has 17 yards rushing, no touchdown. So not a great day for Etienne. Indianapolis rushing, not a lot going on here. Tyler Goodson has 24 yards. Trey Sermon has 20 yards. They were talking about sort of a rushing by committee because Taylor's out, and it looks like that's exactly what they're going after here. Now, when it comes to receiving, let's talk about Indianapolis. Josh Downs has 70 yards, no TD. Adonai Mitchell has 38 yards, no TD. This is all for Indianapolis. Mo Alley Cox has 37 yards receiving on 2 receptions and 1 touchdown. And Michael Pittman Jr. has 4 receptions, 10 yards, and 1 touchdown. So some points coming from Pittman Jr. Okay, for Jacksonville, big day passing, obviously, for Trevor Lawrence. Brian Thomas Jr., sort of a stalwart, somebody who's really making a name for himself this year, has 122 yards receiving, 1 touchdown. Christian Kirk has moved up a little bit. I think when I went through this game earlier, I think he was in the teens. He's now up to 69 yards. Yeah, he had a 61-yard long reception, so he has 69 yards. And Travis Etienne, besides having 17 yards rushing, has 43 receiving. Gabe Davis has 38 yards receiving. Tank Bigsby has 28 yards receiving. This is all for Jacksonville. And Brenton Strange, I believe the tight end, has 24 yards receiving and 1 touchdown. So he got some points in there. All right. So that is 27-17. Jacksonville just scored again. Okay, great. Let's check out the scoreboard once again. I hate how it jumps. I think I just need to come to grips with the fact that it's going to jump. I can only make this thing so big without it jumping. It's really annoying. Okay, so for the sake of everybody on the line, and I know we have a few people online right now. Last time I did this, I had a lot of people on YouTube. Maybe I think I did it another way. I don't think I did the vertical one on anyway, it doesn't matter. All right. So right now, the Commanders are in command 34-6. Yes, pun intended. It's 2:35 left in the third quarter. The Bears are on top of the Panthers 30-10. It's the end of the third. 4 other games are in the fourth quarter. The Texans lead the Bills 20-17, 13:30 left in the fourth. The Jags lead the Colts. That was the game we just were looking at. It's in the fourth quarter, just under 10 minutes left, 9:59. The Bengals lead the Ravens with 13:23 left in the fourth, 31-21. And the Patriots are literally squeaking by the Dolphins 10-9 with 12 minutes left in the fourth. So let's go to the Texans-Bills game. Put that up on the board. See where we're at right now. So Keon Coleman caught the last score, and that was obviously by Buffalo to make it 20-17. There's 13:30 left in the fourth. James Cook has 78 yards, 1 touchdown. Cam Akers has 34 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. These are both rushing yardages. Receiving yards, Keon Coleman has 49 yards, 1 TD. And Nico Collins putting together a decent day for him, 78 yards, 1 touchdown. Josh Allen has just 131 yards passing, 1 touchdown. And CJ Stroud has 264 yards passing and 1 touchdown. Okay. So not much going on right there. Any questions, any fantasy questions? I know, again, I go live. I'm going to try to multi-stream this on YouTube and TikTok. Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, Thursday nights. Although YouTube, I usually get inundated by TikTok folks, so it makes it almost impossible. I get inundated by TikTok folks, so it makes it almost impossible to do much with YouTube. I don't get as many questions that way. I have no idea. I think more people are on TikTok looking for fantasy help. All right. But don't forget to follow and like if you're watching on TikTok. And if you're on YouTube, also hit that subscribe button. I also have regular YouTube shows like on Tuesday where, we might have a game. We might talk a little trivia. We might talk, the NFL season, talk about the NBA season, all that kind of good stuff. because the NBA season's right around the corner. And then we probably will touch at least the Major League Baseball playoffs. I know the Mets are on a roll. They won again against Philadelphia last night. So who's going to stop that train? All right, let's check out the scoreboard again. Not too much has changed. Texans are still leading the Bills 20-17. The Jags are over the Colts by 10, 27-17, with just under, well, now it's under 7.5 minutes left. So they're halfway through the fourth quarter. The Jags beating the Colts 27-17. And it just the third quarter just ended between the Bears and Panthers. It's 30-10. Bears are leading there. So, all right. We'll just keep rolling here. I know we don't have a ton of people online, but if you want to share this with somebody, would love it. If you want to follow, if you want to hit a few more likes on TikTok, great. Please hit the like button on YouTube. Please hit the subscribe button. I don't think there's a share policy or a share button like there is on TikTok on YouTube, but it's well worth it. I'm sure most people are watching the games, which is great, but they don't get the insight of, hey, you know what's the picture look like for fantasy? All right, let's go through the scores real quick again, and I'll start on the right side. Bengals over the Ravens 31-21, 10:32 left in the fourth. Patriots still squeaking by the Dolphins 10-9, 9:19 in the fourth. The Bears are all over the Panthers 30-10. There's a little over 13 minutes left in the fourth. And with about 1 minute left in the third, the Commanders are still pounding the Browns 34-6. The Jags could get their first win of the year against the Colts, the much maligned and injured. Richardson's out. Jonathan Taylor's out. 6 minutes left, or 6:09 left in the fourth. The Jags lead 27-17. And as I've said, as I've updated several times yet already, the Texans are getting by the Bills 20-17 with 10:43 in the fourth. If you have any questions, just put them in the chat. Don't forget to follow and like. I do on TikTok, and I'm going to try to multi-stream on YouTube fantasy shows throughout the week. I go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I try to do Friday or Saturday. One weekend I did Friday and Saturday, so I must have really been a boring, nerdy kind of person. And then I try to go live during the games like this. In the past, I've gotten a lot more people, so I'm assuming people are really watching the games today. So if you have a question, put it in the chat. I'm happy to answer. If you're still looking at your fantasy team and you're like, I don't know who to play, and maybe it's the later game or it's Sunday night game or a Monday night game, let me know. I can help you out with that. Ramondre Stevenson for the Patriots had a good first half. I don't know let's look at the Patriots game. That's the closest game as of right now. Although there are a couple. Well, the Texans and Bills 3 points are different. Oh, the Ravens scored. They're only 3 behind the Bengals now. So we should probably get an update there. What just happened? All right, let's go to the scoring. Charlie Kolar passed from Lamar Jackson for 2 yards. Tucker makes the extra point. It's 31-28 with 9:05 left in the fourth quarter. So the Ravens are inching their way back. They won't let Cincinnati go away so easily 2-3. They don't want to become 2-3. The Ravens right now are 2-2, and Cincinnati is 1-3. All right, so the Ravens just scored to close the gap on that. The Bengals were up by 10. But let's go to that Patriots-Dolphins game, and that's where Ramondre Stevenson had a touchdown in the first half and he has 78 yards total so far, but I think at least 71, 70, something like that came in the first half. So he had a very good first half. Now, from what I was reading, he wasn't really supposed to have that great of a game. but he did today. So, or at least in the first half. Now he hasn't been able to duplicate that here in the second. Miami has the ball. 2nd and 13 at Miami 43. So they're, right around midfield. What happened here? It looks like, did they pick up the first down? I don't know how to read these things. We should just, and you know how in sync they are, but Brissett for New England has 70 yards passing. Huntley for Miami has 194 yards passing, but 1 interception, no touchdowns. Jalen Wright has 59 yards rushing for Miami, and Raheem Mostert has 49 yards rushing for Miami, and Devon Achane has 18 yards rushing. So Achane, I think, is the number one, but he is the lowest number of yards rushing. His long was 12. And let's see. K7. Hi, K7. Thanks for joining us. We're just kind of going through scores. I know it might be kind of hard to see on a vertical short kind of window, but we're going through scores right now. New England leads 10-9 over Miami with 7:42 in the fourth. Oh, Achane is out with a concussion. Well, that would answer something. Let's look and see. Let's look and see. Does ESPN give you? Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you for the info, actually. I'll go to news. Dolphins Achane suffers concussion against Pats. Thank you. All right, so he's out. All right, because it's not, I don't know. They don't make it. I guess I need to maybe scroll down. Kicking, punting, returns. On the box scores, they don't make it easy on ESPN here to figure out if somebody's been hurt. So, and I'm not going into play-by-play. Let's go back and look at the scores. Thank you, Mass Fino Reviews, for that update. I really actually do appreciate it. Let's see who's online on TikTok. Hand Dog. Thanks for joining. User 322, thanks for joining. Let's look at the latest. All right. The Bengals now scored another touchdown. 8:54 left in the fourth. They're up 38-28. It was 31-28. Now, obviously, they scored. Let's see what happened. Ja'Marr Chase, pass from Joe Burrow. Big day for those two. Let's just look at Ja'Marr Chase has 174 yards, 2 touchdowns. Joe Burrow has 353 yards passing and 5 touchdowns. So, hey, everybody, I know they're playing Baltimore. Baltimore isn't necessarily a lock for a playoff bid, but, you have Derrick Henry, you have Lamar Chase. You figure they're going to be a good team. Now, that's offensively. But Ja'Marr Chase and Joe Burrow locking up for 2 touchdowns. Burrow has 5 for the day. Lamar Jackson's having a good day too. 243 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson has 48 yards rushing, no TDs. Derrick Henry just 30 yards rushing. He had the game last week where he had, I think, 87 yards on the first play from scrimmage. He has 1 touchdown though. Zay Flowers, who I downgraded for some people in Baltimore, has 82 yards, no touchdowns. Charlie Kolar has, for Baltimore, 64 yards and 1 touchdown. And Rashad Bateman has 34 yards and 1 touchdown. Now, Mark Andrews, the tight end, has 40 yards, no touchdowns for Baltimore. Isaiah Likely has just 7 yards receiving, but he does have 1 touchdown. Chase Brown, the running back, besides 34 yards rushing for Cincinnati, has a touchdown and 8 yards receiving. But T. Higgins and Ja'Marr Chase both have 2 touchdowns, and Ja'Marr Chase has already put up 174 yards receiving, while T. Higgins just has 63. So Cincinnati kind of breaking out. So if you're ever on the fence about Joe Burrow, maybe now is the time to take a look or a second look and maybe, look and see who you have. It's like, I want to sign him up right now. It's like, darn it. He just wasn't putting up fantastic numbers. He just wasn't. There wasn't any sign that there would be. All right. We got to be getting close to the wire on some games here. Okay, the Patriots and Dolphins, there's 4:54 left in the fourth. It's still 10-9 Dolphins. So what I call a pitcher's duel for football. The Jags now have extended their lead, I'm pretty sure, 34-20 against the Colts. Let's look into that game and see what Lawrence has done since we last looked in. Joe Flacco for Indy has 225 yards passing, 2 TDs, no interceptions. Trevor Lawrence has 337 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, but he does have 1 interception. Trevor Lawrence also has 4 yards rushing. Tank Bigsby, not Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby has 97 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Now that is not someone I thought that we would have with those kinds of numbers. I mean, I'm going to look up Bigsby right now and see what he did earlier, because I know that name comes up. People ask me about Tank Bigsby, and Tank Bigsby is coming out of nowhere, essentially. Tank Bigsby had 7 points week 1, 0 week 2. Maybe he didn't play. 0.9 week 3, 9 last week, and he has 25 points right now. He has 28 yards receiving. He was targeted once and caught the ball. He has 97 rushing yards with 2 touchdowns and 10 attempts at rushing. So he's averaging almost 10 points a carry. So he's having a really good day from a rushing standpoint. So Tank Bigsby, really the difference maker in this game so far. Now let's look at receiving for Jacksonville. Brian Thomas Jr., well, he's a difference maker too, everybody. He has 122 yards and 1 touchdown, but I would say that Brian Thomas is a little bit more expected to have a game like that. Bigsby, unless someone, I'll look into it. Is Bigsby, or not Bigsby? I'm getting all confused now. Let's look up Jacksonville. I'm just looking up I can't spell today. All right. Yeah, running backs, Travis Etienne. Yeah, that's interesting. Bigsby's going off. Well, that happens. I'm just making sure Travis didn't get a concussion or anything like that. Travis Etienne was removed from the injury report. Okay, he will play. So, no, I don't have any update on Travis, but Tank Bigsby is putting up some gigantic numbers kind of out of nowhere. But Brian Thomas, you expect at least from that standpoint. I mean, he's put up solid numbers all year. Yeah, Brian Thomas has 20 points today. He had 18 last week, 18.9, 7, 10, 12. So, yeah, I can't say that today is really a surprise. The surprise to me is Tank Bigsby putting up the numbers that he's putting up. And we'll have to check and see later in the week with all the fantasy as to whether or not, there's Bigsby gets more of the carries. I don't think that's the case. Travis Etienne only has 6 carries today. Bigsby has 10. So there's something's going on, and let me see. Maybe I can find it if I actually look, right? Let's look up Etienne. Go to news. Is there anything here? I bet you they don't. Yeah. Yep, I've not seen anything that Etienne got hurt. So Bigsby, they must be just changing that. So that's something to really watch. That's going to be a change if Bigsby starts putting up big numbers and becomes sort of the de facto number one for Jacksonville, because right now, I mean, they're polar opposites. Etienne has 17 yards rushing. Bigsby has 97. Bigsby is averaging 9.7 yards per carry. So big difference there. All right. If you have a question, put it in the chat. I know that we don't have a ton of people online, but want to wind down and see how these games end up for everybody. Nobody scored yet in that game. Let's get an update on all of these games. Patriots still, aren't they at 454 before, though? Oh, the Dolphins scored. I knew something has to change. The Dolphins now lead the Patriots. Let's take a closer look at that. The Bengals still lead the Ravens. The Bears still on top of the Panthers. Commanders still leading the Browns. The Jags still over the Colts. And the Texans are just getting by the Bills by 3. But let's look at what happened with the Dolphins while I was wasting or jabberjawing. In the fourth, Alec Ingold, 3-yard rush from Tyler Huntley, pass. What? Alec Ingold, 3-yard rush, Tyler Huntley pass to Julian Hill. Oh, no. I get it. They didn't score the 2. It's weird to read, that's all. Tyler Huntley pass to Julian Hill for 2-point conversion, no good. Pass incomplete. Alec Ingold, 3-yard rush. So I'm assuming Ingold scored the touchdown. Let's look at the box score now that this has changed the complexion of the game. Brissett still under 100 points passing, 82. No TDs, no interceptions. Tyler Huntley, 194 yards passing, 0 TDs, 1 interception. Jalen Wright from Miami has 86 yards. Raheem Mostert has 71. Achan, who left because of a concussion, had 18. None of them had a touchdown. Ramondre Stevenson, still, well, he has 88 yards and 1 touchdown. So he hasn't done much in the second half. First half, he had 70 yards rushing with a touchdown. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. I'm just kind of updating fantasy type players that you might be familiar with, players that might be on your team or someone else's team. Tyreek Hill, though, is leading in receptions with 69, no TDs. Jonnu Smith, 62 and no TDs. Waddle, 46 yards, no TDs. And Mostert, 18 yards and no TDs. Mostert has 71 yards rushing and 18 receiving. New England's passing game is not very strong. I hate to really be mean. I really do. Demario Douglas has 27 yards, no TDs, and then it drops off 13 by Jalen Polk and 13 yards by Keyshawn Boudy maybe. No TDs for either one of them. So, but Dolphins just took the lead. There's 2:57 left in the fourth. New England does have the ball, so we'll watch that. But I'm telling you right now, Brissett, he just can't pass. He's just not. Jamar has me 40 points in my main league, Eton. Way to go, Jamar. Or way to go, Eton. That's great. Yeah, Jamar's having one heck of a day for the Bengals. All right. Let's get the latest. I think some of these, the times on some of these are old. All right. We're all in the fourth quarter with all 6 games. We'll obviously be starting the other games probably within 20 or 30 minutes. Almost all of them will go. If you're watching on TikTok or YouTube and you want to ask a question, please do so. I'll still answer any fantasy questions, but we're really just kind of going through the games, seeing where teams are, talking about who's having a good day, who's having a bad day, who had a good first half, who's not having a good second half kind of thing. So we have a couple games here. Well, everything's under 10 minutes. The game that's intriguing to me right now is Ravens and Bengals. It's a high-scoring game, 38-35. The Bengals lead, but the Ravens have the ball with 5:24 in the fourth. But what a day by Burrow. Burrow has 353 yards and 5 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, not too shabby at 301 yards and 4 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson leads Baltimore in rushing with 50 yards. Derrick Henry has 30 yards and 1 touchdown. Chase Brown, rushing for the Bengals, has 34 yards, no TDs. Zach Moss, 21 yards, no TDs. But really the story right now, as Eitan on YouTube was speculating, my friend from YouTube, wait, what just happened? Oh, sorry. Jamar Chase has 174 yards and 2 touchdowns. T. Higgins for Cincinnati also has 2 touchdowns, but just 63 yards. On the other side, Baltimore, Zay Flowers has 111 yards, no TDs, so having a decent day. I know that some folks asked me about Flowers yesterday or maybe Thursday, and I wasn't too high on him, but he's bouncing back. No TDs, though. Charlie Kolar for Baltimore has 64 yards and a touchdown. Isaiah Likely, the tight end, has 2 touchdowns on only 13 yards receiving, and Rashad Bateman has 1 touchdown on 34 yards receiving. But Likely putting up good numbers on those 2 touchdowns and just 13 yards receiving. But I guess part of the story from a fantasy standpoint is, can Likely do this again? I know he had a game, but week 1 he put up some good numbers. Likely did. Jamar Chase back into the thick of it. Burrow seems to be Joe Burrow again with 5 touchdowns, 383 yards receiving. Cincinnati has the ball. Why is it now? There's more. Okay, 4:39 in the fourth. Let's look and see if any of the other scores changed. If you like what you're seeing, hit those like buttons. Hit subscribe on YouTube if you don't already subscribe. Hit follow on TikTok. I talk fantasy on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday or Saturday, sometimes Friday and Saturday. And then I like to go live during the games, although I did this like 2 or 3 weeks ago and there was a ton of people watching. And today it's quite different. So I don't know, maybe I'm losing my charm. Hey, we have a tie now. Texans and Bills, that's going to be a good one. They're tied at 20 with 3:18 left in the fourth. And now the Jags and Colts are tied at 34 with 2:40 left in the fourth. And the 2 games that we think we know the answer to, the Commanders still lead the Browns with 8:29 in the fourth, 34-6. And the Bears are leading the Panthers 30-10 with 5:57 in the fourth. Dolphins still ahead of the Patriots, 15-10. Sus Mongo, thanks for joining. Greg, thanks for joining on TikTok. Patriots losing 15-10. And like I said, the Colts and Jags tied at 34. The Texans and Bills tied at 20. Both games are under 4 minutes. In fact, the Colts and Jags have under 3 minutes. They're at 2:40. Oh, and now the Texans and Bills, that just updated on ESPN, are 2:37 left. So we'll be hitting the 2-minute mark on both those games. So a little bit of stoppage. I don't know how they do this. The Bills and Texans game, they said it was 2:37. Now they keep saying there's 3:18 left. Now they say it's 2:37. Okay. The Texans have the ball. Let's go into this game real quick because it's tied 20-20. And it has the Patriots, Dolphins. I don't know if people care as much as who plays for the Bills and Texans. We have Nico Collins, CJ Stroud, Josh Allen. We have James Cook, Cam Akers, Stephon Diggs. We have a whole host of people who might score. And so right now, CJ Stroud's pass right to Schultz for 11 yards. All right. And right now we're at the 2-minute warning for the Texans Bills game. This is the exciting part. Maybe not everybody loves this, but I do. 2 minutes left, tied at 20. We'll come back to that. Let's look at what's going on between the Jags and the Colts. They've been at 240 for quite some time, so something can't. They're tied at 34, and they're at the 2-minute warning. All right. Dolphins and Patriots. Let's see what's going on there. They're at 158, so maybe they just had a play and they're at the 2-minute warning, but the Dolphins lead 15-10. The Bengals still on top just by 3 against the Ravens. High-scoring game, 38-35. And the fait accomplis, Bears up over the Panthers 30-10 with 4:30 left. And the Commanders all over the Browns 34-6 with 7:45 left in the fourth. I'm really looking at the Bills and Texans and Colts and Jags. Now, the Colts and Jags probably aren't as important from a fantasy perspective because you have, Richardson's hurt and Taylor's hurt for the Colts, and Jacksonville, probably not a lot of people have Trevor Lawrence, but the other thing too is Jacksonville's main weapon today has been Bigsby, who probably a lot of people didn't have. People probably had Travis Etienne, but not Bigsby. So a little bit of a surprise there. And between the Bills and Texans, not a great day from either quarterback. I mean, I guess Stroud's having a good day with 310 yards, just 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Josh Allen, 131 yards, 1 touchdown. Cam Akers has 42 yards rushing, 1 touchdown, and Cook has 82 yards rushing, James Cook, and 1 touchdown. Keon Coleman has 49 yards and 1 touchdown, and Stephon Diggs has 80 yards receiving. Nico Collins has 78 yards receiving and 1 touchdown, so he has a few more points than Stephon Diggs. Stephon playing his former team, so that's always a fun matchup with the former team. So, again, while we're kind of at 2-minute breaks and we're looking to see who's going to score next, do I play Trey McBride or Kraft for tight end? All right, we got a little fantasy question. I'll keep the score on the board here. Let me update this because these times are all wrong. All right, just to go over what we have, and then I'll answer the question. Trey McBride or Kraft? Got to make sure that neither one has played. I don't think Kraft has, and I don't think McBride has. But it's 2020 Bills-Texans. It's 34-34 Jags-Colts. It's 34-13 now. The Browns have scored. 34-13 Commanders over the Browns. The Bears are leading 36-10 over the Panthers. I think they scored again. That score looks a little different. Dolphins lead 15-10 over the Patriots with just 1:08 left. And with 3 minutes and 5 seconds left, the Ravens now have the ball. They're down 38-35. But let's look up McBride and Kraft for the YouTube. Okay. Arizona. McBride had an eventful week as it pertained to his health. Managing to clear protocol while practicing in full bowl Thursday. Okay, so he's going to play. So McBride's going to play. So that's good news. Let's look up Kraft. The one thing I'll say about Kraft is, and let me get a name here, Sam, is they're playing the LA Rams, and Trey is playing San Francisco, and Kraft could have I think Green Bay is going to do very well against the Rams. I don't think Arizona is going to do quite so well against San Francisco. So from a matchup standpoint, I give Kraft the edge. Now, it does look like Trey McBride might be a little bit more of a steadier point person. Like he could probably put up 5 or 6 points. Kraft might put up 2 points. He might put up 14 points. So there's a little bit more of a risk there. So it's an answer you have to tell yourself. Do you want your tight end to get 5 points and go with McBride, or do you want to go with Kraft and maybe get 12 to 14? Remember, most tight ends in most leagues, 10 team leagues, usually get about, like their average is like 5 to 6 points every week. So if you put McBride in, you'd be probably matching your opponent in the tight end space. But I do think Kraft has a bigger upside. All right. What do we have on TikTok? Jilly joined. Thank you, Jilly. All right. Let's check all the scores. Are we going to go to overtime with 152 left in the game? Bills and Texans tied at 20. Texans have the ball. With 27 seconds left, the Jags and Colts are tied at 34. Let's look at that. There's only 27 seconds left. Let's look there. The Jags have got to get into. There's a timeout with 24 seconds. Let's look at all plays. But that's not going to help me out. 3rd and 11 at Indianapolis's 32. So the Jags are at Indiana's 32. Indianapolis's 32. So they're within, I'm assuming, field goal range. That was like a 49-yard field goal. So it's close enough. It is close enough. They're probably taking a timeout. Timeout number 2 by Indianapolis. Yeah, so they're trying to ice the kicker. D. Johnson up the middle to Indiana, 31 for 1 yard. So Deontay Johnson. Okay, this is so ridiculous watching it like this. It looks like Jacksonville's going to go for a field goal here, but they're probably trying to make sure that there's not a lot of time on the clock. It is 4th and 10. So they have to be going for it right now. Some of these, let's go back to the game cast. Timeout number 3 by Indianapolis with 21 seconds left. So they're saving the clock. 21 seconds. Oh, the Jacksonville Jaguars, I guess, did make their field goal. Sorry. They're up now 37 to 34 over Indianapolis. So let's go back. There's 17 seconds left in this game. Let's go back to the other game that was tied. There's 46 seconds left between the Bills and Texans. The Texans have the ball. Let's see what's going on here. C.J. Stroud, pass, incomplete, short right. It looks like they're at Buffalo's 39, so that would be 49. Let's add 8, 57-yard field goal. So it's 3rd and 5, so they probably want to pick up a first down. Houston probably wants to pick up a first down. Houston has their timeouts left. It doesn't look like Buffalo has any timeouts left. So this one's coming all the way down. There's 44 seconds left. The ball. Wait, what? 4th and 15 at Buffalo's 49. Oh, they punted. Oh, ouch. Okay, well, Texans punted, and Buffalo has the ball with 32 seconds, but I don't think they have any timeouts left. So right now it looks like the Texans and Bills will be going to overtime. Commanders still all over the Browns, 34-13, 3:22 left. With 1:56 left, the Bears over the Panthers 36-10 With 41 seconds left, the Dolphins still lead the Patriots 15-10, and there's just under 2 minutes left between the Bengals and Ravens, with the Bengals up by 3, 38-35. So nothing has changed there. Let's go to the Jags and Colts. The Colts have the ball. There's 12 seconds left. They're at the Indianapolis 30. Joe Flacco pass incomplete, deep middle to Josh Downs, who has 69 yards receiving today on 9 receptions. So all they need is a field goal to tie. It's first down. No, that would be, if it's incomplete, it would be, it's final. Jacksonville beat the Colts 37-34. A big day by Trevor Lawrence, 2 touchdowns, 371 yards passing. Joe Flacco had a fantastic day too, 359 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. So that game has gone final. Jacksonville gets its first win of the season, which, if you're an Indianapolis fan, you're going to hate me for saying this, but I'm kind of glad. I hate to see teams without a win. And I know Trevor Lawrence probably feels a heck of a lot better because of that. All right. Bills and Texans, 32 seconds left. Let's check in on that game. Dolphins have the ball with 41 seconds left, and they're beating the Patriots 15-10. Oh, now the Patriots have the ball. All right. 27 seconds left. Bills have the ball. Let's look in on their game as best as I can figure this junk out. 2nd and 10 at Buffalo 3. Josh Lawrence pass incomplete to Mac Hollins. So they have 97 yards to score a touchdown. They have 50-something to score a field goal. Doesn't look like they have any timeouts left, and there's only 21 seconds on the clock. So they're going to have to probably pass the ball. Otherwise, they'll only have 2 plays, 2 running plays, which they're not going to make up too much ground that way. All right. So it looks like we'll probably go to overtime there unless there's a turnover. A touchdown, a pick 6 by Houston, that's a dagger in the heart. We have 1 final so far. Just went over that. Luke joined. Thanks, Luke and Joy, for joining on TikTok. If you have any questions, send them to me in the chat. I go live on TikTok. I'm going to try to multi-stream YouTube, Talking Fantasy, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday or Saturday, maybe both. And then Sunday during the games. I want to start going live Sunday mornings before the games, but we'll see. And I can answer your fantasy questions, but we're just kind of going through. We have a final. The Dolphins have beat the Patriots 15-10. So we have 2 finals. Jags win their first of the year. Dolphins win. What is this? Their second? Yeah, they're 2 and 3. So they won their second of the year. We have 20. Okay. See, now it's doing the thing where it's, we have 16 seconds between the Bills and the Texans. Now the Texans have the ball, so the Bills had to punt it. The Texans have their 3 timeouts with 7 seconds left. So maybe 2 plays if they're lucky. Martin punts 56 yards to Houston. He runs. Robert Woods runs to Buffalo's 46 for 13 yards. All right. So my guess is pass short, middle to timeout. All right. All right. Here we are. Houston, it's 2nd and 5 with 2 seconds. So 1 play, and they're on Buffalo's 41. So this would be a 60-yard field goal almost. 58, 59-yard field goal for the, look at that. You get a commercial here. Let's get rid of the commercial. So this one is literally coming down. 2 seconds left. Timeout by Houston, 2 seconds left. A field goal wins it. The field goal is good. The field goal is good. Houston wins 23-20. Look at that. They haven't even updated the score. 23-20. Houston wins the ball game. They beat Buffalo, give them the second loss in a row for Buffalo. So you got to ask yourself, what is going on? Josh Allen only had 131 yards passing and 1 touchdown. So more of a pedestrian, middle of the road quarterback day. But Houston beats the Buffalo Bills. Houston improves to 3-1. I guess. Wait, Buffalo is 3-1. Aren't they 3-2 now? Oh boy. I hate when things aren't updated. Oh, they have both teams at 3-1. Okay, I guess they haven't updated either one. Buffalo at 3-1. New York. Yeah, they haven't updated this. But I think Houston goes to 4-1 and Buffalo goes to 3-2. All right, let's see what else has gone final. Commanders beat the Browns 34-13. As I was just talking through, Texans beat the Bills 23-20. Jags beat the Colts 37-34. Bears beat the Panthers 36-10. There is another tie ball game here with 59 seconds left. The Bengals and the Ravens are tied at 38. So this is coming down to the wire. And I think when this game ends, I'll probably jump off the live stream. Just not having as many folks as I had a couple weeks ago online. Thank you for joining Steve and CE if you're still there on TikTok. We have 9 seconds left. Cincinnati has the ball, but it's 4th and 8 at Cincinnati's 32, so they're going to have to punt, right? I don't even trust all these updates and things because they're so far behind. Timeout by Cincinnati. Cincinnati has 2 timeouts left, and Baltimore has 0. Cincinnati, they punt it. Baltimore has the ball. It's the end of the 4th. So we're going to head to overtime in this game, the one game I thought maybe Cincinnati would win. But it's 38-38 after regulation. And so I am going to call it a day. Don't forget to follow and like on TikTok. I go live talking fantasy Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday or Saturday, Sunday. And on YouTube, I'll try to multi-stream those Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and the weekends. But on YouTube, I will have a show on Tuesday at 9 o'clock Eastern. So I'll talk to you all then. Thanks for watching.